Happy day everybody. This is Vatsala Mirnaalini, faculty psychology program, M.O.P. College. I will be handling the topic common emotional problems in children, which comes under developmental psychology. So, before we begin into the topic, I would like to say that the children have a lot of mental health issues nowadays, mainly because of the exposure to screen time and also the impact of the COVID. It's not just that it will be a misnomer if I just say that the children are very happy and very fun loving, but they do suffer with a lot of mental health issues, and we will consider them in this topic. And we have the objectives of this topic to be to describe the nature of emotional disorders in children, and the outcomes of the topic will be that the students will be able to comprehend the necessity of mental health programs in school. So, by the end of this video, you will have an idea as to how this topic will benefit in enhancing the mental health state of a child in a school. So, to begin with, we have these major classification of childhood disorders. They are externalizing disorders and internalizing disorders. Let us assume that a child behaves very notoriously, tries to hit another person, gets angry very frequently and breaks the properties of the school. Such behaviors are very common in middle school. These behaviors can be termed as externalizing disorders. The reason being that we can observe the behavior being very harsh and brutal. It is not that all child will be classified under these externalizing problem, only those children who are having this problem for about 4 weeks continuously, we can term that they suffer with some such kind of externalizing problem. But what exactly are those? They could be an ADHD problem, which is restlessness and hyperactivity. Conduct disorder, wherein the child tries to break the properties of the school or property of the society, and oppositional defiant disorder, wherein the child tries to disobey the elders, talk very harshly, giving back answers, etc. Remember that if it has to continue for a minimum of 4 weeks and a maximum of 6 months, only then it can be categorized as a childhood disorder. And what exactly are internalizing disorder? Here the child suppresses the emotion to himself, and it is seen outwardly in such a way that like they withdraw from the social gathering and they will be lonely and they wouldn't talk much to others. These are symptoms of internalizing problem, meaning they have a lot of problems within themselves. They have suppressed their emotions, but they have difficulty to talk to others, and so they isolate themselves in private. So, these two are the major classification of childhood disorder, and we will look into one by one of these classifications. So, to begin with, these actually we have 3 and the 4th one is upcoming like under research. So, the major 3 common emotional problems are disruptive conduct disorder, anxiety disorders, childhood depression, and the influence of COVID-19 on child mental health. So, let me just introduce to you on disruptive conduct disorder. By this term we mean disruptive meaning disturbance and conduct is a behavior. So, what we are understanding is any behavior that is disturbing either the child or the society, we come to a conclusion that it is a disruptive conduct behavior. And the characteristics include, like for example, the child will be having temper tantrum, they do not listen to elders, they disobey the elders, they have impulsive decisions, they take very hasty decisions, like for example, they might say that if you do not give me, I will not eat food, or they might be attracted to an object which is very appealing or very provoking, that they steal the object without thinking that it is bad or it is wrong. So, such kind of hostile behaviors or impulsive behaviors are very prevalent in this disorder, and they also show this in terms of aggression, that they try to bully another person, they beat a fellow person as a victim. So, all these are very prominent behaviors that is seen in disruptive conduct disorder. We can classify this major heading into 2 as oppositional defiant disorder and conduct disorder. There is a very slight difference only, that when we talk about oppositional defiant disorder, we are introducing the age here, and so until age 8, if the child is suffering with the conduct disorder, we can term it as oppositional defiant disorder. So, and one major thing is until age 8, they will be highly indulging in arguing with elders. So, that is how we define that, and conduct disorder above age 8 to 12 years before the teenage. So, here the child will have prominent behaviors like damaging the property, throwing stones at the window, or flattening the tires. So, all these are common behaviors which are seen in children of this age. What are the contributing factors? So, we understand that there could be reasons by the biological chemistry factors, like low level of dopamine could lead to conduct disorder. But what exactly happens with the imbalance in the dopamine? Many reasons could be prevailing, but chief could be that child having a lot of emotional trauma that they have suppressed, or they have had a very poor parenting, the parent, or they have a very anxious attachment to the parent, that they don't like to be monitored by the parent, they want to be independent. So, these factors could be a reason why the child behaves in such a way. So, chief among them will be moral awareness, wherein the child doesn't know to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. Modeling, very bad modeling by the influence of media, by the influence of the social media. So, they get to understand that aggression is correct thing to do. So, they might indulge in such activity. Poor parenting, as I explained, parents neglecting the child, parents not giving much concern to the child, all these factors could be one reason. And peer influence and rejection by peers, that they want to be accepted by the peers, so they try to indulge in activity like breaking the property, so that they gain attention, and so they want approval from the peers, so they do it for a heroic activity. Sociological factors like children from a very poor background, like poverty, or indulging in child labor, such factors also contribute to such conduct disorders. And then we move on to the next disorder, which is anxiety disorders. By anxiety disorders, we need to understand what do we mean by anxiety. Anxiety is excessive worrying or persistent fear. So, when does it become a disorder is when there is a continuous presence of anxiety for about 4 weeks to 8 weeks. We say that there is an anxiety disorder. But do children have anxiety disorders? Yes, they do have, because of the academic pressures that they have, and because of the poor parenting, or the change in lifestyle because of the exposure to screen time. A lot of factors are there. And what exactly is an anxiety disorder? As I said, excessive anxiety for at least 4 weeks concerning separation from home or from attachment figures. This is one possible reason as to why anxiety could be a prevailing factor among children. And we do have types of anxiety disorders. For example, separation anxiety, social phobia, and school phobia are also generalized anxiety disorders. I will give you a brief introduction onto what these are. So, as you can see here, separation anxiety is nothing but the child feels excessively worried, or excessively they cry when they are away from the primary caretaker. And some symptoms that are seen in case of separation anxiety will be, as you can see, extreme clinginess, that they try to be with the parent all the time. If they get separated, they put tantrums, they cry out, all that, and they refuse to do anything that requires separation. They don't want to be away from them, so they'll cry, they throw tantrums and all that. Socially withdrawn, meaning they wouldn't be talking much to another person when they are separated. Nightmares about separation, they have enuresis, like they bedwet if they are separated, if they go to an aunt house without their primary caregivers like parents, they suffer a lot. It's a trauma for them. And distress about being away from a loved one, again it's continuous, like we understand, right? It's a distress that they are emotionally suppressed, and they show it in forms of crying and shouting and all that. Extreme worry about losing a loved one. They have a constant fear that what if my parents die, or my friends are away from me. So, they have a very magnified version of fear that constantly disturbs them. That is separation anxiety. And then we have social phobia, which is extreme fear of mingling with another people, especially when they go to a party or a social gathering, they have an excess fear as to how should they be reacting or how should they initiate a conversation. So they will be, so the symptom can be that they will be withdrawn, they wouldn't talk much in the gathering. And the probable reason could be parenting, that parents who are expecting high discipline from the child may be posing child to a situation where they don't want to talk much about or they don't want to mingle much about in the society. So one reason could be extreme discipline and emotional trauma, like they have been abused in childhood or they have been threatened in childhood. Such factors also contribute to social phobia. And then we have generalized anxiety disorder. Here we mean anything will worry the child. It could be a factor that a father is going to a nearby shop, the child will say, I will also come with you because I don't know what will happen to you. So extreme fear, extreme worry is termed as generalized anxiety disorder. And why is this? They are excessively concerned about meeting the expectation of others. So they are like, what will people think about me if I do this, and they start analyzing themselves, they become critical about their own behavior, and so they constantly worry about themselves and they try to get good names from another person, so try to please another person, so they end up being guilty, not meeting the expectations of others, and so they start worrying about what they are. So that is generalized anxiety disorder. So these are all the symptoms that are prevailing in generalized anxiety disorders, like they have excessive anxiety and worry, increased muscle aches or soreness, impaired concentration, irritability, difficulty sleeping, restlessness, fatigue. So all these are physically seen, and we understand that the child with generalized anxiety disorder suffers from these major symptoms. And probable causes could be biological causes are there when it comes to imbalance in the neurotransmitter. There are chances for emotional disturbance and emotional trauma that the child undergoes, and also poor parenting, as I said earlier. There is one thing called attachment style, which is an avoidant attachment style and anxious attachment style. Here anxious attachment style works very well because the child feels if my parents are away from me and if my friends are away from me, the child gets to have a worry, or the child thinks that I am away from them and I don't know what to do. It's basically that they are not confident enough to handle themselves. So that creates anxiety in the child. And we move on to the third topic, which is childhood depression. Here it is a prolonged feeling of sadness that the child experiences, and this is seen as a symptom wherein the child loses interest in all the activities that they had carried out earlier. So if they were good in sports or if they were good in drawing, they totally drop it and they find very dull and moody, that they don't want to indulge themselves in such activities. So that is childhood depression. A lot of other causes are here as well, like major factors contributing to depression will be early traumatic events. As I said, could be child abuse, verbal abuse or physical abuse could be one reason as to why these children develop depression. And negative parental behavior, I have explained that already. And then cognitive behavioral perspective is something that these children will have a negative thinking towards their life, and which could affect their emotions. So they might be thinking that I am not good in academics, or they will be thinking that I am the only person who is scoring very bad. So very extreme thinking or overthinking could be one reason as to why these children end up having a depression. So, and this topic is the fourth topic, where we have the influence of COVID-19 on child mental health. So as we can relate to our own self as how it was during COVID-19. So we have lockdown, isolation within home, hospitalization or death of loved ones, closing of schools. We have come across all these topics or situations that almost everybody had faced, and this was very traumatic for a child who had witnessed such episodes. So these have led to behavioral changes in a child, that they have nowadays also we can see that they are exposed to increased screen time, which is affecting their physical health as well as their mental health. And They have also had episodes of excessive sleeping during COVID-19 because of lack of physical activity, and it is continuing that they do not have a proper regular time schedule for sleeping. So, this is again a contributing factor for major disorders like anxiety and depression to occur. And sedentary lifestyle, as I said, the sports activity or to engage themselves in any form of physical activity has reduced drastically after COVID-19, and so another way of contributing to the disorders that I have mentioned. So, what possibly can be done as a treatment? Yes, we do have some treatments psychologically speaking, that we can focus on individual therapy, wherein the psychologist or the therapist will talk to the child on a one-on-one basis and tries to understand the child from his perspective, and will create a rapport, and once the trust has been built up, the therapist will try to understand and solve the problem by an interaction. Maybe they will try to bring in the family as well and find a reason or a solution to build a good relationship within the family members and the child. So, that sums up and takes me to the next topic, family therapy. So, what exactly happens in a family therapy is the therapist will become a part of the family and tries to bring in a smooth interaction within the family members, and I need to quote three aspects here, like major family problems are can be summed up as conflict or due to defense mechanism, and majority of the conflict within family happens due to the defense mechanism that is played within the family members, wherein by defense mechanism I mean there is a way a parent protects their ego and tries to make the child victim, and this could be one factor wherein the child is not able to communicate the suppression that they have. So, here the family therapist will try to make a smooth interaction between family members and the child. So, this is done as a family therapy, and there are other concepts like triangulation also, which is to do with making the child victim of the situation that is happening in the family. So, here again the child counselor or the therapist will try to minimize the misunderstanding between the family and the child, and they try to bring in a smooth interaction. So, and then we continue with other forms of therapy like behavior therapy and art therapy. Behavior therapy is majorly used nowadays, that it is a learning therapy wherein the good behaviors of the child are reinforced and the bad behaviors are taught how to modify and execute it. So, that is behavior therapy. And then art therapy, here this is increasing nowadays, that it is gaining popularity. Any child who is traumatized and emotionally shrunken can make use of this therapy. In art therapy, the child is asked to draw a picture that comes to his or her mind, and the counselor will try to interpret it for the child. Say for example, the child is asked to draw anything that comes to the mind. This is mainly done because the child does not know to verbalize what is happening in the mind. So, when the child draws something like a storm or a dark sea or darkness, then the therapist will try to communicate as to what is happening in the storm. The child will understand the depth of the concept and try to explain, and so the counselor's role is to interpret it in child terms, in child language terms, and will explain it to the family. So, that is art therapy. And then finally, we have the play therapy. This again is very popular to do with child, because a majority of the children do not know to verbalize their emotions, and in play therapy, say for example a puppet therapy, the counselor will make use of the puppet and will try to come down to the level of the child, and the child will also able to relate the emotion that they undergo, and will talk to the counselor as if they are as if they are talking to the puppet. So, that way they try to build in a proper communication with the puppet, and the counselor is there to interpret the situation and the emotion that the child is feeling. So, Thank you so much. So, these are the common emotional disorders and the treatment that could be done with the child who is suffering with emotional problems. Thank you so much.